welcome to the One Lonely Owl YouTube channel. This is today's episode 30 of the One Lonely Owl podcast. My name is Terry and I will be your host. I noticed the last two episodes I was wearing the same tank top, so I'm wearing a different tank top today. Just to spice it up a little bit. It's still sort of cool, cold weather here in central Alberta, Canada, where I live. And we got some snow a couple of days ago. We've been getting little tastes of spring, but it's been muddy and gross, and every other day it seems to continue to snow. Just Mother Nature seems to be teasing us. Sorry for that little sidetrack there. My name is Terry. You're at the One Lonely Owl podcast, and thank you so much for joining me here today. I will start off with saying thank you so much for joining me if you are new here, and thank you so much for returning if you are a returning viewer. I appreciate each and every one of you. And yeah, other than that, I'm just going to dive right in. I will start out, I've already said today's episode 30. It is a couple of days late, and today is going to be pretty light on knitting content. There's going to be a little bit, but I'm not really going to be able to show you much, and I'll get to that when I get to that, but hopefully this will still help fill in the gap every 2 weeks of where I come and natter at a camera and you guys sit and watch me while you knit. If nothing, it's for me to say, hi, Mom. Hi, Mom. Okay, so we don't have a lot to share today. I have had, if you're new here, I am a cancer survivor and have had a pretty hefty medical schedule the last couple of weeks, so I haven't had a chance to sort of sit and record, so that's why it's going to be a couple of days late. So apologies for that. It's also part of the reason why I don't have a ton of content to show, because I've been spending a ton of time driving to appointments and whatnot, so I will apologize in advance for that. But if you're here just to listen to me natter on for a little while, then feel free. Go grab a cup of tea and grab your knitting and join me. Usually I have a bunch of segments where I talk about like what I'm wearing and all that sort of thing. That's sort of gone to the wayside since I've had a surgery where I'm now into medically induced menopause, so I don't wear a lot of warm clothes anymore. I don't wear a lot of knitted items anymore unless it's really, really cold, which we're going into spring, so thankfully we aren't that cold that I'm wearing knitted items anymore. There's like a good solid 2 weeks in February where I can wear some knitted items and not overheat, and even then it's questionable. The first segment today is going to be What You At? I haven't said this yet, but I normally keep my show notes just down here on a pad of paper, so you'll see me glance down there every once in a while. That's what I'm doing. The first segment is What You At, where we talk about what it is that I have been working on. So I'm going to talk to you about 3 specific things. 2 of them I can show you a little bit about, but one of them I can't show you at all. So we'll start with the one that I can't show you. I am working on a secret project. It is a gift for somebody, so I won't be sharing that until it's finished and gifted. So I won't tell you the yarn, the needles, the pattern, any of that until it's been gifted and the recipient has it in hand and knows about it. So you might not see that for maybe a month or 2. Pardon me. So that one's not that exciting. The second item that I will talk about, I can't really show you because I'd have to pick up the camera and turn you around. But I did talk about it, I think, on my last episode where I mentioned that I wanted to make a rag rug from my Ashford rigid heddle loom. I have a 48-inch Ashford rigid heddle loom. It sits right there, so you can't see it, but I can. It's literally like I can reach out and touch it. She's a beast. Oh, that's right. We said we were going to try to give her a name. I haven't given that any more thought. If you have, drop a name in the comments below, any suggestions you might have. But my loom sits just right here, and I have been planning on making a rag rug. So the type that I was mentioning, I've mentioned it in my previous episode, so if you're looking at like details of what it is that I'm trying to make, you can go back to the previous episode and look at it there. But I had a sheet, a fitted sheet that was on our bed It must have had like a defect or something in it, because a hole developed sort of right in the middle of the sheet, and it made no sense. Like, it wasn't like it was overused or anything like that. The rest of the sheet looks perfectly fine, but obviously the sheet wasn't usable, because obviously if I was to use it, the hole would get bigger and bigger and it would be pointless. So I actually took the sheet and I'm actually going to make maybe some fabric out of it and maybe make a bag or something fun. We'll see. I haven't decided exactly yet, but I wanted to cut up some of it because I wanted to use it in my rag rug. So I unpicked all of the elastic. Just give me one sec, I'll show you. I have a big pile of thread. Not sure if you can see that. There's a great big pile of thread that I unpicked. It's obviously this gray, and then the big string of elastic that I took out of the, sorry, that's elastic and string that I took out of a pair of pants. This is the pants string, because I've also got a pair of pajama pants that had a hole in them, so I'm going to rip those up as well. But there's this great big string of elastic, so I ripped that all out. I, like stitch ripped it or picked it out or whatever. And then I flattened out the sheet and then just cut up in 1-inch strips. So, don't know if you can see, I think you can. It's like a stag. Sorry, try not to get my face. There's a stag print on it. It's a gray sheet. It's flannel. And I just cut it into strips, 1-inch strips, and I'm going to use those. I'm going to make a ball of yarn or whatever. Make a ball of fabric and then weave it on my loom so that I can make a rag rug. So very slow progress, but progress nonetheless. Unpicked the stitches, took out the elastic, cut it into strips. I cut, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6, 8 or 10, something like that, strips out to see kind of how much I'm going to need. And like I said, I kind of want to use some of the fabric from that sheet because it's a king size sheet. I might use it to make a bag of some sort, like maybe a project bag or, I don't know, who knows. So I might wait until I sort of use up the fabric, and then whatever left over I'll finish cutting some strips. I just wanted some to start with and see kind of where it would get me and how much I would need. I've got a ton of fabric scraps. I've got lots. My son has t-shirts that have holes in them. My daughter has pants that have holes in them that are, obviously we're not going to give away or donate or whatever, so I'll be cutting those up as well and using those in the rag rug. But, not a lot to show you. This is pretty much all I can show you because I haven't done anything on it. But as I get a little bit more into it and I get the loom warped and I can start weaving, then I'll show you progress through photos. So that's project number 2. Project number 3 is the sock tube. Now, I use the word tube very lightly. This one you sort of can see. This is the sock machine that I ordered from Bear Valley. So it's the Bear Valley sock machine I ordered from Sound Yarn and Fibre in Parry Sound, Ontario. This, again, it's on the sock machine, so I can't show you. And it hasn't, you can see the sock bonnet just here. If you can, there's this gray sock bonnet that's got the sock weight in there. And then the very neon green, again, I don't know if you can see that from where you are standing, but there's a sock yarn attached to it. And then a little bit, you might be able to see a little bit of the green around the ring of the sock machine. I have 2 rows of the green done before I dropped a stitch, and then we all, our whole family went up for supper, so I haven't had a chance to come back and actually fix it, which means I can't continue to crank. But I have the waste yarn. I don't know, there's 10 rows of waste yarn and then 2 rows of the actual sock yarn. But like I said, it's not enough that I can actually show you because my husband called me for supper, so we got distracted and I haven't been able to come back to it. So I will come back to that when I have a chance, and then, like I said, I'll show you as the weeks progress and as I'm actually able to get that off the sock machine. I'm pretty sure I dropped it. Yeah, I dropped the stitch and I have to fix it, and I just haven't had a chance to actually get to it since, I don't know, it was 2 or 3 days ago I think I started it, and I, like I said, got to row 2, dropped a stitch, and then I didn't have time to fix it. How many times have I said that now? Anyway, the next segment. The next segment on the list is Yes Buy. Yes Buy is where I talk about items that I have finished. I have 0. Literally have finished nothing. I don't know if I showed you the dishcloth in my last episode. I might have talked about it. The yarn merchant asked me to use some of the yarn that we were using for the sock class to make a dishcloth, so I unraveled the sock and I made a dishcloth. Totally forgot to bring it in, so they still haven't gotten that from me yet, but I have finished a dishcloth, but I don't think that was in this last 2-week period. I'm pretty sure that was previous episode, so it's your granny stitch, or sorry, not granny stitch, my grandma's favorite dishcloth. So again, I've already talked about that, so I won't put any of those details here. If you're looking for anything, I haven't said this yet, you can find anything that I talk about in this week's episode in the description box, which you can find right below this video. If you're looking for things that I've talked about in the past, sometimes I will put the links in the same video if I mention them. Most of the time I'll refer back to the previous video, so you can just go on to the YouTube channel for One Lonely Owl and you can find all the previous videos, all the previous links, etc. So you can go back and look those up. So I have nothing to talk about in Yes Buy because I haven't finished anything. Like I said, it's been a bit of a hectic time. Twacking. Twacking is where I talk about things that I have been either shopping for or things that I have purchased. I have not purchased any yarn-related items or anything of that sort in the last 2 weeks. I will share that my family and I are going on a vacation in the summer, and we're going to Newfoundland. And if you've been to Newfoundland in the summer, you know that it's not typically summer weather, particularly the areas of the island that we're going. So we needed some rain gear. We live in central Alberta. It doesn't rain here very often, and when it does, it rains for like little bits of time, or it rains so much for so long that you probably can't go outside because there's a risk of flood. So we don't have rain gear generally. My kids have like these little mud suits that I buy for them since they were young, but I didn't have a rain jacket anymore. I had one that I bought in like 1998 that I finally donated because it was, you know, it was too small for me because in 1998 I was much smaller than I am now. So I needed a rain jacket. I needed some rain pants. I needed a few things like appropriate footwear to wear on rocky beaches, that sort of thing. So I purchased a bunch of stuff. I'm not going to share that here. Just kind of wanted to put that out there that I ordered some things online for me, my mom, my dad, my kids. My husband is not going to join us on this vacation. He's going to stay at home and take care of the house and the dog and the land that we live on. And yeah, so I bought the rain gear. I bought us all matching hoodies that say Newfoundland and Labrador. And the footwear I've talked about. What else did I buy? Oh, I bought some activities for the kids. So like travel journals. My daughter, who will be 7 in a little while, she wanted to make a scrapbook of our trip. So I bought her a little scrapbook and some things to go along with that. So we're going to have lots of fun traveling around the island and the southern part of Labrador. Really, really looking forward to that. Might be able to share some of that with you here. I'm not 100% sure. I do plan on taking my nice camera with me, so we'll see where that journey takes me if I do happen to take any of that footage and share with you. And if I do, obviously I'll let you know when the time comes, but that won't be until the summer. All right, the next segment is Now to Once. Now to Once is where I talk about the things I'm going to be doing now to once. So what's coming up? I have mentioned the secret project. So the secret project has a little bit of a deadline, so I'm going to be working on that. The sock tube, I'm going to be practicing on my sock tube, so that's going to be getting some love. And then the rag rug is sort of my primary. I want to focus on the items that I have been working on. I do have a few other things on the needles that I've been sort of plugging away at, but not anything that is sort of like worthy of talking about here. It's like a row here, stitch there. Like it's not enough progress to want to share every single time. So I will share those projects as well as I get to them, but sort of the immediate task is the secret project, And then I'd like to kind of get back on the sock tubes and the loom and play around with those a little bit so that I don't lose, like I don't get too rusty too quickly, because these are brand new crafts for me. So I really want to get back at those so that I don't lose what I've already learned. You know what I mean? Next segment. See, I told you this one's going to be quick. I've barely been here. I don't even know how long. My thing doesn't tell me how long I've been recording. The next segment is Jigs and Reels. Jigs and Reels is where I talk about things that I've been like reading, listening to, sort of like the extracurricular activities that I do that are not yarn related. As always, I will link my Goodreads. Goodreads is, I think it's like an Amazon product or whatever, but it's sort of like a social media type platform for reading. So I note all of the books that I am reading currently. You'll notice it's much like my WIP library. I've got a library of, books, 10 or 11 that I'm currently reading. Some of them I'm reading with my kids. Some of them my kids wanted to read and then now they don't want to read so much anymore, and maybe we'll get back into it, like Chronicles of Narnia as an example. They were really into it for a while and now they've pittered away at that. My daughter and I were reading Little Women. She really enjoys that when we do it, but she finds that we can only do it in small segments because, again, she's currently 6, so Little Women is a bit advanced, I would think, for her, but her and I read that together. But yeah, anyway, Goodreads is where you can find anything that I am currently reading, and most of the time, if I have anything to say, I will leave a review. Sometimes I'll just leave a star review. I'm pretty generous, I think, with my stars. I don't think anything gets less than a 3. I don't think I've given... Oh, no, I definitely have given one book a 1-star review, I'm pretty sure. I won't mention its name, but Jen, if you're watching, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We have Scarlett to blame for that. Yeah, so take a look at my Goodreads and you'll be able to see what I like and what I'm reading and what I'm up to, all that sort of thing. I used to be kind of devouring books. I'm not really doing that so much anymore because, like I said, spending a lot of time in doctor's offices, and it seems like I go to the doctor's office and they're ready to see me right away, so I'm not having a lot of time sitting around reading. But anyway, you have a look at my Goodreads. It's linked below. That's a lot to say about one small thing. The other thing that I wanted to mention was I've been listening to Alan Doyle and a lot of things that remind me of home. I think I mentioned this already. If you're new here, I'm from Newfoundland originally. I currently live in Alberta, have lived in Alberta longer than I've lived in Newfoundland, but Newfoundland is still home. So if you ever hear me referring to home, I'm referring to Newfoundland. Again, haven't lived there since I was 17, and that's almost 30 years ago now. Holy guacamole. But, no, I was 18. So, yeah, I got another little while until it's been 30 years. But home is where Newfoundlanders say, like, it's Newfoundland. That's where home is, no matter how long you've lived away. So I have been listening to some Alan Doyle. I went to see an Alan Doyle concert on, this past weekend. Had an absolutely wonderful time. I will share a little bit. I know I don't like to share too much medical detail here, but I will share that I've seen an improvement in my capacity to do activities outside of the house, albeit very small. I was actually able to sit through the whole concert and enjoy myself, and I wasn't sort of rushing to get out of there because I was too tired or whatever. I was able to walk to the car, which was good. So I'm noticing some small wins when it comes to doing activities outside of the home. I will say, though, that when I left the concert, I stayed at my friend's house because it's an hour drive from where the concert was to my home, and I didn't want to, be driving and be tired and have an accident or what have you. So I slept at my girlfriend's house, and it took me a solid 3 days to recover from that late night. So, although I'm seeing some gains that I'm really proud of and I'm really working hard toward, I'm really humbled by my body's capacity, or lack thereof, to do things. So I'll give you an example. 6 months ago, I wouldn't be able to get down on the floor and get back up again. It just wasn't possible. I would have had to have somebody physically help me to get up from the floor. Now I can get up on my own. I can do it with, some assistance if I've got a chair close by or what have you. But like, that's a big win for me, being able to get up off the floor by myself. And 5 years ago, looking back, I would have thought that that's absolutely ridiculous because I'm young. I was very, very fit. I was running marathons and doing crazy things, running ultra marathons. And now I'm applauding myself if I can do 5 squats in a day. So I wanted to sort of mention that for the purposes of giving yourself grace and having a perspective that you didn't realize maybe. So, pardon me. Sorry about that. I normally don't have my phone on sound, and nobody usually calls me, so I apologize for that. I will do my best to cut it out, but let's be real. I'm not very technologically inclined, so I probably won't be able to do that. Apologies. But yeah, the point was to give yourself some grace if you're not where you want to be or where you think you should be, and do literally one day at a time, and sometimes it's 1 hour at a time. So if you think about knitting, I'm not going to knit that colorwork sweater in a day or even in a week, maybe even in a month, but it literally is 1 stitch at a time, and that's kind of how I see my life right now. So yeah, I'm appreciating where I'm at, and I'm meeting myself where I'm at, and I'm recognizing some positive growth, albeit small. So give yourself a round of applause, or give yourself a hand and appreciate where you are if you happen to be in a position that you're maybe not the happiest with, or you expect more of yourself. And that could be with your physical capacity, with your work, with knitting, with pretty much anything. Let's see. Best kind, I gotta give it up to Alan Doyle. Alan Doyle, if you don't know him, is probably like the world's best ambassador for Newfoundland and even the country of Canada. Like, this man really knows how to reel you in, no pun intended, because he comes from a fishing community, if you didn't know that. So he knows sort of how to get a crowd going. He knows how to get you interested in stuff. So the example I'll give is this trip to Newfoundland. His most recent book, called The Smiling Land, he took a trip with his family and several trips across the island, and he went to a bunch of different places, and I've now put those places on this list of places that I want to go to when I go to Newfoundland because of the book and what he was able to impart and his experience of that island and the mainland of Labrador. So, going to be having a really great time, but got Alan Doyle to thank for that. But the concert, it was just nice. It felt like home, so that was one thing. It felt like I had a connection to home, which I miss. I haven't been home in almost 10 years. 9 years, almost 9 years. It was, songs that I recognized from my childhood or sort of teenage years, or, even some of them childhood, because he sings some traditional Newfoundland songs that my grandfather used to sing. They, as in the band, were extremely upbeat. They had a wonderful stage presence. It was just absolutely a wonderful time. As they say in Newfoundland, we had a time, and it was great. My girlfriend came with me. We had a wonderful dinner before we went. We had a really great time at the concert, and I felt I was exhausted. I'm not going to pretend like I was absolutely knackered, and I'm still sort of recovering, and it's Friday. It's 5 days since the concert, and I'm still exhausted. But it was absolutely wonderful, and it was totally worth it. So if, Alan, you happen to be watching a knitting podcast by this random girl in Newfoundland, thanks for the time. It was an absolutely wonderful concert, and it was a pleasure to be in the audience. the outro. That's all we got for today. So thank you so much for joining me. Apologies for it being late. Apologies for it being a little bit light on content. I did want to get in front of the camera because if I didn't, I feel like months would probably go by and we'd be 3 months from now and I'd be apologizing for not being in front of the camera. So a little bit is better than nothing. Late is better than never. So thanks again for joining me. If you haven't already liked the video, go ahead, like the video, subscribe, comment down below, do the whole YouTube thing to show YouTube that I'm cool, and I will see you on the next one. Until then, stay where you're to, till I comes where you're at. Bye!